The haters said that Michigan wouldn't be as good this year, and the haters absolutely nailed it.
You had to kill him. How are you gonna live with yourself?
The Blue are cooked, and it's not surprising. It's really a mix between the loss of Jim Harbaugh, JJ McCarthy, and a lot of talent. Oh, and Connor Stalions, too. It's safe to say it's a new era in Ann Arbor, and it's not off to a great start. Number 10 Michigan got clapped by number 3 Texas at home, 31-12, and honestly, it looked way worse than the score sounds. Michigan was completely outplayed the whole way. It was clear Michigan is no longer a top dog. But Texas is back. The Longhorns jumped out to a very fast start, and they were able to move the ball, but Bert Auburn, one of the best kicker names, he missed a 43-yard field goal. And then it was time for Michigan to show off its non-JJ McCarthy offense, and it was awful. Michigan went 3 and out. Texas proceeded to go 56 yards in 6 plays, capped off with a Quinn Ewers touchdown pass to Gunnar Helm for 21 yards. Michigan responded with a field goal to make it 7-3, and it really did feel like maybe the Wolverines were gonna keep it close. They couldn't. Jared Gibson rushed for a touchdown for the Longhorns, and then everything fell off the rails. Texas got a pick and hit a 26-yard field goal, and then forced a fumble and scored a late touchdown as Ewers hit Matthew Golden for 5 yards. And just like that, 24-3 at the half. Not exactly ideal for Michigan, I'd assume. And it didn't get much better. Michigan drilled a field goal with 5:28 remaining in the third quarter, and then Texas just slammed the door. Jaden Blue scored a touchdown off a pass from Ewers. He made it 31-6. And then on the Wolverines' next 2 possessions, they threw a pick on the first play, and then they turned the ball over on downs. Michigan did get a fun little garbage time touchdown to make the score a little bit better, but it was a beatdown. Ewers just played incredible. 246 yards, 3 touchdowns. Gunnar Helm, man, he went for 98 yards and a touchdown. He's already taken over for Jatavion Sanders in that Longhorns offense. Isaiah Bond, the Alabama transfer, had 98 yards. He's so good. Then Michigan obviously had its struggles. You know, Davis Warren threw 2 picks. Donovan Edwards did actually rush for 41 yards, and then Colston Loveland had 70 receiving yards. It's a bad loss, but don't worry, Michigan is still good. I think, at least. I was really excited to see Michigan have its first actual test this year. Obviously, they lost so much, and this was a huge game because you have Texas with these gigantic expectations, expected to be this juggernaut team who could make the playoff, make a run, maybe win the national championship with so much talent and an elite quarterback. And then you have Michigan, who clearly looked like they were on their way down, fresh off a national championship, and have lost a lot of those important factors from last season. And I think the game went exactly how most people expected. Michigan didn't look particularly impressive, I thought, against Fresno State. They won 30-10 last week. Then for Texas, they just blew the brakes off of Colorado State 52-0. It was ugly. It's very clear that Texas is a very, very good team, and Michigan's on the downturn. And I think the downturn for Michigan still means them making a very good bowl game, having a very good season, and being very good in the Big Ten. I just don't think it's another year where they win the Big Ten and when they're in the college football playoff. Jim Harbaugh is gone. He's now the head coach of the Chargers, leaving before the NCAA could throw down a harsh punishment for sign stealing, which honestly is a smart move. And Harbaugh, he dips with a national championship and has a school record 13 players selected at the 2024 NFL Draft. Harbaugh's offensive coordinator, Sharon Moore, was the acting head coach when Harbaugh was suspended last year, and now he's the head coach for real. And the Wolverines have a ton of talent still. There are a lot of guys that really do stick out, but 3 big ones, I'd say. Starting with Will Johnson, one of the best cornerbacks in the country. He was a first-team All-American last season, and he has lived up to every bit of his 5-star rating. He's just a stud on the outside. Then Mason Graham is another potential top pick, 4-star defensive tackle, second-team All-American last year. Both Graham and Johnson were even freshmen All-Americans back in 2022. The other guy you can bet on being a first-round pick is tight end Colston Loveland. He was a great target for JJ McCarthy last year, had 650 yards. He's also only a junior, was a 4-star recruit. Kenneth Grant is the last dude who does seem to kind of be a fringe first-round pick. It does depend where you look, really, if you're looking at ratings or mocks, but he is another Michigan defensive tackle, a 3-star. He had 5 tackles for loss last year. And for those counting, Michigan has 4 guys who are top NFL prospects. And there's going to be others drafted too. You know, running back Donovan Edwards. And then on the defense, safety Rod Moore, defensive end Josiah Stewart, then linebackers Derek Moore and Jayshon Barham. Michigan has a ton of talent, but it's clear how much was lost from last year. Jim Harbaugh is a good coach. There's a reason he's back in the pros. And JJ McCarthy, it felt like, didn't get a ton of credit for the success last year. It's clear how much he mattered now. It's cool to see Davis Warren get his shot, but he hasn't started until now. But Michigan will be fine. The Big Ten slate is what really matters, but it shows how important Harbaugh and JJ McCarthy were, and maybe the impact that Connor Stalions had. The Sign Stealer documentary on Netflix was fantastic, but it also didn't tell us too much. Stalions told the NCAA he didn't get signals from in-person scouting. Who knows if it's true, but he didn't admit it, and Dave Portnoy did say it was Stalions on the Central Michigan sideline, which, yeah, of course it was. There are a ton of connections between Central Michigan and Michigan, so it's not crazy to figure out it was him. But watching the documentary, Stalions was smart. He helped Michigan for sure. The question is just, was it legal? Sign stealing is allowed, but it depends on how you do it. It won't happen again anymore, though. Finally, there is radio communication for coaches to tell the quarterback to play. It's so long overdue, but I'll miss the rainbow-colored dudes on the sideline making all the hand gestures. They were always so fun to watch and pay attention to during games, but that era is over. And kudos to Michigan for not only winning a national championship, but also forcing the NCAA to change the rules. For whatever reason, I have always kind of liked Michigan. I think it comes more from really not liking Ohio State. And for how unlikable Michigan was last year, I still did like Michigan. I was rooting for them to win the national championship. I was excited they did win the national championship. I like Jim Harbaugh for whatever reason too. So it was cool to see, but it's clear that Michigan is on the downturn and they're going to have to prove that it wasn't just the sign stealing and all these other factors that helped them win the national championship. But I don't know if that's actually true. It's more of Jim Harbaugh's gone. He was a good coach, even if he did get some help from Stalions, and who knows how much help that is. Every team out there is cheating. I full-heartedly believe that. And everybody, I bet, was sign stealing in some way that was still illegal. Michigan just happened to get caught and was maybe doing it the worst way possible. On the other side, the hype for Texas is real and it's deserved. The Longhorns are good and they proved it against Michigan. You have to start with Quinn Ewers. He's a top quarterback in the country. It's obvious and expected. Remember, Ewers was the top recruit in the 2021 class, and he actually committed to Ohio State and backed up CJ Stroud, then transferred to Texas. He's been good for the last 2 seasons at Texas, and his jump to the NFL is coming soon. He'll be a top pick and definitely is a top quarterback. Ewers is elite, and I know everyone is also ready for him to leave so we can finally see Arch Manning play. It'll be soon, I promise. Kelvin Banks is another possible first rounder. He was a 5-star, now a junior. Texas is going to have plenty of guys drafted. Wide receiver Isaiah Bond is just a dude who's going to be a pretty high pick. Same goes for safeties Jahdae Barron and Andrew Makuba. Then there's other players that should be drafted. Offensive guard DJ Campbell, and on defense, Barron Sorrell, Trey Moore, and Alfred Collins. Texas has plenty of talent, clearly, and Steve Sarkisian has just done a fantastic job in Austin. He's turned around the Longhorns. He took over and went 5-7 in 2021 and has continued to improve each season. The Longhorns went 8-5 in 2022 and 12-2 last year. Of course, they made it to the college football playoff and nearly did beat Washington. It was a heck of a game, but Texas fell short. Texas looked back, and now I think Texas is really back. The fact of the matter is, Texas being back is good for college football. They are one of those programs that when they are good, it is good for college football. Put them on the same pedestal as you would Nebraska and Virginia Tech, 2 programs that want to be back and are still just not back, even though they try to be and hope they are every single year. Texas was that at one point, but now I think Texas is truly back. It's awesome to see. Quinn Ewers is so much fun to watch. Arch Manning, I bet, is going to be so much fun to watch next year, and maybe he does the Tim Tebow and wins a ring while sitting on the bench and then gets to take over and dominate for himself. It's still early in the season, but I 100% think think Texas could win the national championship.